Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on one sec. I just
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on one sec. I just
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on one sec. I just
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Tonight, we're going to be looking at a video where a guy presents 5 fundamental problems with atheism. And of course, he's totally misunderstanding what atheism even is. But he's got 5 things that bug him about atheists, I guess. And so we're going to go through those tonight. If you're interested in what's bugging the fuck out of this guy, then please stay tuned. Before we get into that, though, we're not going to have Today I Learned, but we are going to have comments of the day. Prepare to facepalm yourself into next week. Yes, we got some comments to go through. Nope, I was prepared for it, but it really shouldn't have been. That shouldn't have played. Oh well. So, yes, Lisa for Truth noticed my backdrop for the month of June. I'm going to be having the rainbow-colored backdrop in support of Pride Month. As you all know, Donald Trump today rolled back LGBTQ protections as far as the health and medical stuff goes. So, fuck you, Donald Trump. Anyways, so we're going to get into these comments today, and a couple of them are from some of Ray's supporters that apparently didn't like my particular take on Ray's documentary, and then we got some other people thrown in here. So first up, we've got Josiah Fleming, who says, "Is this guy for real? He sounds like a 4-year-old with a foul mouth attempting a logical critique." It's amazing because you apparently did not listen to a thing that I said in that particular video, because this is one of my Resurrection Refuted videos, and I mean, I usually bust out the best stuff for those types of videos. So regardless of whether I have a foul fucking mouth or not, you can't deny the information that I present in that particular video. Or, well, I guess you can deny it. You're just kind of a dipshit for doing it. Next up is a Ray Comfort comment. Well, it wasn't Ray that commented. It was one of his people, I guess. A couple of his people, actually. So, we've got Redsinios, who says, "Well, Ray was right." Ray is spelled wrong. You are very disturbing person. Talking about oral sex, pretending you're giving oral sex, and sucking on a little candy in the shape of a man's penis? Your complaints about the interview, I can see why you turned into an atheist. But what about your parents, the rest of your family, when they hear you talk like this, man? Well, dipshit. Maybe I got teased as a kid for playing the skin flute a little too often. And just maybe when I figured out that getting my dick sucked or just the process of sucking dick really wasn't all that bad, I had no problem with it. And so I can freely talk about oral sex, fellatio, licking the purple mushroom. I don't know how else you want to put it. I can talk about that freely because there's nothing inherently bad about talking about it. Might it be a little crude? Sure. But that's all just to sort of get your attention and draw your attention to it. I mean, the shock value is really what I'm going for here. Also, it's the comedic thing. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just funny talking about sucking dick like that in that particular context. But anyways, also, I thought it was hilarious finding a little dick sucker and sucking on that to somebody who was talking about me sucking Satan's cock. It's kind of like it tastes like cherry, bitch. Anyways, and then the guy followed up down below that says, yeah, I know why Ray said what he said about this guy. Truly disgusting. I still don't understand why sucking dick is such a bad thing. Like, why is it so disgusting? I mean, people pay Pornhub millions of dollars every year to see worse things than sucking dick. Okay? So I don't want to hear this shit about how it's truly disgusting to think about sucking dick when you go home and you get it sucked every night. Thank you, Anthony A., for your comment. Thank you for your interest in Godless Engineer. That's what it is. Let's see. We got a couple of super chats here. We got morally depraved is the best description. Lol. Hey, if you're not going to be morally depraved, then what was Jesus' sacrifice all about, right? Gurmania says, I just want to thank you for the shout out in your Ray Comfort video. Oh, Gurmania, I gave a big shout out to one of his videos in the Ray Comfort video this Monday. I hope that it helped. I hope that it drew some people into your channel because you got a lot of great content on there. And everybody now should be going and subscribing to Gurmania because they put out great stuff. So definitely go do that. Now, another Ray Comfort person. Wow, this is so disgraceful on so many levels. Did you take the full elevator through being offended? Did you go offended level 1, offended level 2, all the way up to what? Offended level 12? Is that the sucking dick part right there, or was it the sucking on the red dick sucker thing? Anyways, how do you expect to be taken seriously? I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt, so I came to your site. You mean channel? I think you meant channel. Sorry, there was no need for how you responded. So very disrespectful of the person and your viewers. How is it disrespectful to my viewers to talk about sucking dick and any kind of... I'm not saying, hey, each and every one of you out there, y'all suck dick. Some of you are going to be like, oh, yeah. And then some of you are like, why is that a bad thing? And I'm right there with you guys. I really am. All you heathens out there that are like, I don't get this. What's so bad about sucking dick? It's just a little bit of dick. And I agree. It's just a little bit of dick. What's the problem? This is a dick-filled episode at the very beginning right here.
It's really a lot.
And then we'll round it out with Matt Black here responding to one of my stories. And he says, you should begin reading the New Testament and the Gospels with an honest heart. Throw out wherever you think contradictions, etc. The scripture says God rewards those who sincerely seek him. That's the only way you will learn who God is by reading the Bible. I feel like I know exactly who God is. He's a genocidal cunt in the Bible. And I really don't want to know that motherfucker. In fact, if I could get a restraining order on this mythical God character, if he were to exist, then I probably would, because I want that fucker to stay at least 50 feet back or 50 yards. I don't know what the restraining orders are now. Miles? 5 miles. He can stay the 5 miles away from me and my fucking family. But so... I've read the New Testament. I've studied the New Testament. I mean, my Crestus app heavily relies on Paul's writings and the Gospels and all that. So it's not like I haven't read the Bible. I know the Bible, but what you're telling me here is that first you got to believe in God and then read his word so that you can be further convinced in God's word. This is circular as fuck. Anyways, thank you, Matt, for your interest in godless engineering. I hope you and your friends will continue to comment, because honestly, I haven't had a lot of good comments like these in a while. So, tonight's video is a little long, and we're going to go ahead and get on into that now. I'm so sorry about no shitty ass science or the Today I Learned section. I'm doing it a little early tonight because the video is kind of long. We're going to be going through these 5 points, and he actually gets through the 5 points about halfway through the video. Then he spends the other half of the video kind of throwing in random things that he just doesn't like about atheism and atheists, and he throws in his own particular point of views there at the end. So we're going to be going through this. I love all of the super chats and all of the comments that are coming in. We got another one from Daniel M, who says, I absolutely do not feel disrespected at all. Thank you, Daniel M. I'm so glad you're not a prude and not offended by sucking dick stuff. Which was pretty much the beginning of this. This entire stream's demonetized now. I just know it. So we've made some money off of the stream, which, anyways, not completely demonetized, I guess is the point. Anyways, let's get on into this this fucking jungle of a video. For one thing, the reason why he has all these plants in his video, if you're wondering, is because he's got like a botanical eBay store where apparently he sells botanical shit. And I'm guessing, judging by the sword that you can see in the corner there next to my thumb, I'm guessing he's an amateur ninja as well. Or maybe not a ninja, but maybe a Viking warrior. I don't know what kind of sword that is in the back there, but he might think he's part of the Final Fantasy.
I think he uses the sword to get through the plants.
Oh yeah, does he chop down the plants?
The sword.
Daniel M says, say hi to David. What up, David? How you doing? So
Another Daniel M one.
say hi to David.
There's one before that.
I already read that.
Oh,
I'm on it, honey.
sorry.
All right. So, like I said, he owns a botanical thing. I'm going to put the chat or the original video link in after the show. So you'll have to come back to get the original link. But yeah, this guy's got a botanical eBay thing. That's why he's surrounded by plants. It would be a lot like me being surrounded by the little Crestus question like cross things, as well as like the Skeptic Mafia dude, and just me peeking through being like, hey guys, today we're going to talk about some bullshit. Y'all ready to talk about some bullshit? Have you noticed all of my swag and, well, in the swag and the app store and all of this shit? Hey, Corona. I'm still on Corona. Yeah. Daniel M says he's my son. He loves when John says hi to him. I hope you don't mind him. I don't know how old he is, but I hope you don't mind him hearing all the dick talk tonight. Uhan Roderick says this is an annoying super chat just to interrupt things. Hashtag bro safest 2020 motherfuckers. Hell, I think Brocephus would be better than whatever the fuck we have now. Anyways, all right, so let's get started with this guy. Got to make sure all of my inputs are inputting correctly. Shit. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's start this up. Let's go, dude. Let's see what your problem is with atheism.
The first issue that I have with atheism is that it seeks to prove other religions wrong rather than prove itself right.
Okay, so right off the bat here, atheism is simply just a lack of belief in God, and which is the most common definition of it. There are atheists out there that make the positive claim that no gods exist, and I agree that you bear the burden of proof if you say no gods exist whatsoever. But for the most part, when atheists tell you that they're an atheist, what they mean is that they just lack a belief in any kind of deity. They also lack a belief in the supernatural or like the spiritual realms or anything like that. He gets kind of into the whole spiritual realm and supernatural realm and all this other shit. So we're going to get into that. But he's starting off right off the bat wrong by thinking that atheism has to prove itself right. Because, like, if I lack a belief in the Loch Ness Monster, I don't have to 100% prove that the Loch Ness Monster doesn't exist. I just am not convinced that the Loch Ness Monster does exist. It's a burden of proof is on the person that is claiming that the Loch Ness Monster does exist. Or, substitute for any kind of big dick creature in the sky that you want to.
The goal of atheism doesn't seem to be so much to prove that there is no God or prove that there is no creator or universal consciousness or life after death, right? That when we die, it's eternal blackness and wants to prove karma wrong and all that sort of thing. That's not so much their goal, but rather to prove that people who believe that are wrong because their beliefs are not founded in scientific basis.
Well, I would say that you're wrong here again is because it's not that they're wrong scientifically, it's just that their argumentation is bad and their arguments do not support their conclusions. So it really has nothing to do with science, even though science is tangentially involved because, most of the time we use science to, verify whether or not this evidence actually supports the conclusion, right? A lot of times science is used for that. Sometimes philosophy is used for it. Just general logic can be used for that as well. So it's not really the science that is the issue here. The issue is that the arguments are bad and do not support the conclusion. And so it's not that it's incumbent upon atheists to prove that the religious claims are false. It's just that when they ask us, well, why don't you believe in God? Well, here's a reason to believe in God. And then we respond with, no, that's a dumb fuck reason because your argument doesn't support the conclusion that you come to. So it's not that it's incumbent upon any atheist to prove anything wrong, or that's the goal of atheism or atheists. It's just something that naturally happens in a conversation.
Atheism builds a lot of its claims about the world on science, right? And I have two big issues with this.
Okay, well, also atheism doesn't build any conclusions whatsoever. Atheists more than likely do use science and other ways to inform them of, reality. But, it's very important to remember what the goal of science and the scientific method is, and that's to describe the reality that we live in. That's to, using our experiences and using other people's experiences, we try to find the things that are regardless of the subjective nature of our experiences, something that we can ground outside of ourselves and say that, well, this is reality. That is the goal of science. It's to paint a picture of reality that is as accurate as we can make it. So that's the reason why a lot of people, even Christians, use science to inform themselves about reality. Because you don't see Christians or any other religious person going around right now thinking that God is the thing that controls the rain. I mean, you got some people out there that are dipshitty enough to say that God caused this hurricane to destroy the homosexuals in wherever the fuck. But that's kind of a small group of Christians out there that kind of believe that, which I have to say the divide in Christianity right now, you could definitely tell the ones that are a bit more reasonable, and then there are just the craziest fucking crazy ones. So in short, atheists and people in general do use science to inform themselves about reality and to shape their idea of what is reality. But again, that's not part of atheism. Atheism is just not being convinced by your bad arguments.
First, it is not a very compelling argument, right? It's a very bold claim to make, to tell someone to turn away from their eternal salvation, or really their moral guidance system, right? Because that's what a lot of people use religion for.
Nobody is telling anybody to, one, leave their religion, two, leave their moral foundation, or however you put it. Nobody is asking people to do this. I mean, at most, atheists, like as general people, when they have discussions, they try to convince the other person that their arguments are bad. But in the end, it's not like we're sitting here demanding people like leave their religion. I think that there are plenty of people in this world that have religion and, are personal about it. And they don't go around telling us that homosexuals are being punished by God with hurricanes. And they're perfectly fine about it. And I don't have a problem with those people. I don't have a problem with people that have religion, are in religion, or are part of the religion. I mean, I don't like religion. That's why I'm an anti-theist. But that doesn't mean that I want to force people out of a religion. So, I mean, so far, you've just been completely wrong, just all over the place.
On the very basis that their ideas aren't founded in scientific data, basically, in scientific studies, right?
I mean, we kind of covered that one a little bit ago. It's not really science. It's just that your arguments are bad.
So I think it's kind of hard to just turn from everything that maybe you've been raised with into something just because it hasn't been proven in a study, right? And my second issue with this particular approach towards your philosophy of the human experience and the world, and that there is no God, and there's no creator, and then death is the end, and no universal consciousness and all of that, is that it really ignores the subjectivity of the human experience, right? We are all experiencing the world differently based on the way that we've been raised, based on the way that we have, based on the experiences we've had, whether they be spiritual in nature, whether they be divine in nature, near-death experiences, all that sort of thing. It really ignores that and just says we need to only rely on science for our understanding of the world.
Well, I'm not saying that you only have to rely on science, but currently, right now, science is the best way to paint this picture of reality. And yeah, it's regardless of everyone's individual experience. It seems like you have a problem with science, not a problem with atheism. You're just sort of ad hoc tacking on science to atheism because you think that they're somehow connected. There are plenty of scientifically minded people that are theists. There are theistic evolutionists out there. And so it really doesn't make sense for you to tack on science to atheism and then express your discontent with science. Okay. Also, one of the main features of science is that regardless of anybody's experience, it will give you a consistent answer, right? That is what we're looking at because reality, like the absolute reality, the truth that you hear all the religious people talking about, like everything that happens in reality, it happens regardless of our individual experiences, right? So you would want to remove that particular bias, when you're trying to discern what is reality. So I really don't understand what your problem is. It kind of seems like you just like people being able to make up whatever kind of fucking reality they want to, but that's not how reality works.
I guess I have a point 3 about that as well. It places all meaning in science as well. It basically says, atheism basically says that your belief system is meaningless because it is not supported by scientific evidence. And the fact of the matter, guys, is that the only person who can give meaning to anything in your life is you, right? You're the only person who can give value to things. If you think that science is the only way that you can give meaning to something, it is very likely that you will live a very depressing life, because it comes down to you, guys. It really does come down to you, what you enjoy, what you're going to give meaning to, and how you're going to live your life. And at the end of it, be okay with what you've done. Be happy with what you've done.
So let me start off by agreeing that we are the ones that assign meaning to things. I assign meaning to my life. He assigns meaning to his life and probably his plants there. I mean, the next thing is that atheism does not say any of this. Okay, just to start back from the beginning of this section, atheism is simply a lack of belief in a God. It is not asserting that religion has no meaning because it doesn't, or it's not based on science, right? So that's not what atheism does. Science it does not assign meaning to things. Like we discussed before, science is about describing the reality as it exists, regardless of whether we are here or not. So, with that being the goal of science, science is literally not in the business of assigning meaning to things. Now, he's saying that atheists use science to assign meaning to things, but I disagree with that. We're not assigning meaning to things. We're just using science in order to prove that your arguments are bad. But that's not the only thing that we use. We also use logic and philosophy and all these other things in order to demonstrate how wrong you are about things. Now, there are some things in some religions that can be disproven by science. And if your religion does not comport with reality or what we experience in reality, then I do have to ask, what good is it? If your religion is not going to give you an accurate picture of the world that you live in, why have it? That's my point. It's not me. He would take it as me saying, oh, well, you should give up religion. Religion has no meaning. But that's not at all what I said. What I said was I don't see the point in that religion because it doesn't match reality. So what good is it? That's my that's my opinion on it, right? That's how I see it. It's up to you to make a decision as to how you assign meaning to your religion after that. If it doesn't faze you, that's fine. But if it does faze you and it does cause you to relook at things, that's up to you. I'm not the one doing anything in this situation. You are the one that's assigning meaning to things, that's reevaluating your religion, that's making up your mind as to whether or not your religion is meaningful.
And give meaning to what you've done. That is the true purpose. So, okay, now my second problem with atheism is that it ignores the fact that science is composed of theories, right? Science is composed entirely of theories. It is basically a system that humans have created to develop their understanding of the world. But it is a flawed system. It is not perfect.
Wait a second. I mean, why does it have to be perfect? Like, I feel like this is a really, he's trying to put science on the same playing field as religion. Because what religion does is it says that it has the absolute truth about reality. When no religion that I can think of actually succeeds in that, obviously. But he's trying to put it on the same playing field as science by saying that science has to be 100% accurate. That it has to be beyond, like more than just beyond reasonable doubt, but 100% every single time in order for it to be useful or for it to be reliable. In fact, in the scientific method, it admits internally that it can be flawed. And that's why the scientific method is set up to where you can reevaluate things given new information and you can come to a better conclusion about reality. So why is it that he has to have the 100% absolute truth about things? Why is that the criteria for something to be reliable? I feel like he's playing some double standards here because he's not applying the same criteria to his own religion. Because while he says that science can't give us a reliable 100% answer every single time, like it can be wrong, therefore it's not useful or not reliable. Well, he needs to apply that to his own religion because there's so many things in Christianity, Islam. I'm not exactly sure which denomination he's part of yet. I know he says it later. But any of the religions, if you apply that same kind of concept to, they also wouldn't be reliable. So if you're gonna boil everything down to just being unreliable, then what use is it to even make that assertion in the first place? What benefit does this criteria even give us? I really don't see a benefit.
And the fact of the matter is that no scientific theory can be proven fully true, right? And that's a huge blind spot of atheism. They really want to rely on science, but the fact of the matter is that even if we are going to build our entire understanding of the world on this, we're going to build everything off of it, science is changing. It is not a a static thing. And our understanding of the world is changing as time goes on, right? But again, at the end of the day, we cannot prove anything fully true with science, right?
And I still don't see a problem with that. In fact, I would hope that we are wrong about most things in reality. I mean, if we knew everything with 100% accuracy and reliability, then I mean, what do we have left to do? I mean, other than just, I guess, live our lives and everything. Like the fact that I don't know everything in this universe or in this reality is very intriguing to me, and I just want to know more. That's why I learn things through that Today I Learned stuff, and just in general, I recently learned how to program in not a new language, but a new framework for my Crestus app. I mean, I'm constantly learning new things because I don't know everything. That's the beauty of the human experience, is to explore and find out new things. So I don't understand why you think that science having to be 100% accurate to be reliable is really a useful criteria for all this. So I don't know. Maybe he'll go more into depth in that later. I don't remember.
So it's kind of bold, and
Oh yeah, so I saw Peachy in the comments saying, "Why the fuck can't these people get what a fucking theory is?" That's another thing. Yes, science has a lot of scientific theories in it, but it also has laws and other things like that. Scientific theories are backed up by evidence, repeatable and testable conclusions. So scientific theories are the closest thing to 100% sure that we can be. Now, they're not 100% sure. They inherently have to have a little bit of doubt built in, because if new information comes along that proves that scientific theory incorrect, then it has to have the ability to change. And he sees that as a bad thing, and I still don't understand why he thinks it's a bad thing.
that way, atheism, it's kind of bold in the way that says, well, because we have science, we don't need to bother with any of this other stuff, any of the spiritual nonsense of these people gathering in religious areas. We just need to use science because it is our understanding of the world. And it is a very, very bold claim to make. And it is kind of a faith-based system in and of itself, but I'll get onto that later.
No, science is not faith-based. That's why science has evidence, because you don't need faith and it doesn't require faith. Faith is completely taken out of the equation with the scientific method. If the scientific method ever starts requiring you to just believe shit without evidence, it would just not be the scientific method anymore, because you have to have evidence in order to support your conclusions in science. Of course, this is supposed to be a video on atheism, and all he's done for two of his points is rant about how much he hates science. I feel like this guy got a D in chemistry class, like in high school or something, and he's just never forgiven it.
My point number 3 is that there's a religious negativity bias, right? If you talk to someone who is an atheist and ask them why they don't like religion, oftentimes they will bring up things like the Crusades. I've seen people bring up things like Islamic terrorism, like, for example, the Catholic Church's suppression of information, right? And yes, I mean, they've got a good point, right? There have been really terrible religious people, just as there have been really, really terrible atheist people. I mean, just look at the Soviet Union, right? I mean, persecution of all kinds of religion in the Soviet Union, right? So neither sect of beliefs is entirely blameless, right? It's humans, right? Humans are crazy, and there's good people and there's bad people. It doesn't really matter, if they believe one thing or not. The fact of the matter is that people are going to be good and people are going to be evil.
I agree with this point. Well, not the entire point, not his actual point, but with that very last thing that he said, being that it's people. People can be crazy and bad. State atheism is not the atheism that exists now. State atheism is a completely separate and different thing. And that was an assault on religious communities, right? Atheism, the atheist community that we have now worldwide, is not the same thing as state atheism. I just want to make sure that I drill that home. Now, number 2, I don't think that I don't think that all religious people are crazy or are horrible and abusive. I think that bad, like you said at the end, I think that bad people are going to be bad and good people are going to be good. But as crap, I can't remember what his name is. I think his last name's Weinberg. He said that good people will do good things and bad people will do bad things. But for a good person to do something bad, that takes religion, or not necessarily just religion, but any kind of cultish or indoctrination style of belief, right? Where you just have to listen and believe to what somebody else says. Now, that being said, I can criticize the religion as it's written in their holy books. And when I say that Christianity is a horrible, abusive, genocidal, and bloody type of faith, I am not talking about the individuals that are in the faith. I am talking about the faith itself. We've been going through the Bible on our Daily Bible podcast that posts every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Just throw that out there. We've been going through it, and that's all that we've seen is God getting jealous over his chosen people, worshiping other gods, and then causing havoc on his own people, but also ordering his people to enslave and murder others for worshiping their own gods. And that's not even getting into the New Testament, which just reinforces what the Old Testament says. I mean, you got a little bit better things in the New Testament, but I mean, we're going to get there eventually. We got a couple of super chats. One's from Uhan Roderick saying hashtag strawman for days. And then Daniel M says, lol, now that I heard the middle of this, of his video, my Skeptic Mafia comment is a little out there.
Okay. Now, point number 4 is the complexity theory. And they like to poke holes in that as well. And basically the complexity theory is that, well, the world is far too complex, far too intricate and detailed, right? I mean, if you look at all the fields of study, look at all the different branches of things you can go into in college and all just the different crazy understandings in the world, and the fact that we still don't even understand things totally, in their complete way, then there must be a creator, right? Because how could something this incredible emerge from absolutely nothing, right?
All right, so before he continues with this point, it's not that we say, like atheists, which again, he's talking about atheists, but he's complaining about science. We don't say that it came out of nothing, right? So I don't know if he's actually looked into what the science says about the inflation of the universe, but the best explanation that we have currently is that it was a fluctuation in a quantum scalar field that caused the sudden inflation of the universe, and the inflaton particles that resulted from this huge release of energy was then transformed into regular matter that we find. Like, not that they were full atoms, but like they were spread out in protons and neutrons and all of the subatomic material. And eventually, the universe became cool enough to where atoms could form and light could form, right? So you have to understand that we don't think that it came out of nothing. There was something there, right? We all agree that something caused the universe to suddenly inflate. The difference here between a religious person and the atheist community is that we're not convinced that a God had to be the one to do it, right? We don't see the evidence necessary to suggest that God was necessary for that to happen. Now, he's just now complaining about the complexity argument, which is the teleological argument. Formally, it's formally known as that. And just because something seems complex does not mean that it couldn't have been created by nature. It couldn't have come about naturally through natural processes. You still need to show that a suspension of reality is needed in order for those things to be created. You can't actually show that, which is kind of funny when you consider just a little bit ago he was complaining about science not giving us 100% reliability on its answers, when this guy, or religious, these highly religious people in general that make these kinds of arguments, they can't 100% prove that God did it, right? And that's really the only answer that religion in general has, is to say that, well, God did it. And so really, he's just got a problem with science and the scientific community. He doesn't have a problem with atheists. He does have a problem with atheists, but all of these problems he actually has with science. Let's say we got Big Sky Pioneer 2, who says, love you guys. Thanks for everything you do, though I'm still trying to decide why he thought the plant placement was a good call. I don't fucking know either. Like, I don't understand. Like, I get that he's into botanical shit, but I mean, damn. Put him in the background. Like, put him on your bed or something. I mean, shit.
And the atheist response to that is that because the world is complex, that there must be a thing that is more complex that created it. And if God is so complex that he created the world, then something must have created God. And it's this infinite loop, basically, what they get into. There's actually a Harvard scientist who I think brought that particular point up, and that basically they want to rest their understanding in what we know now, and ignore the fact that everything is so incredibly complex and crazy. And don't even get me started on the psychedelic aspect of that. Is still a huge branch of science that is yet to be unknown. You've only dipped a toe into that area so far.
So at this point, I think that this guy loves to trip on LSD. Because apparently the psychedelic part of reality is apparently something that we need to scientifically investigate. I'm not exactly sure about that. I think he's been watching too much of that show Fringe. Hey, honey, we should watch Fringe. Fringe is a good show. He just took it a little too literally. But I'm trying to think about what the fuck he was talking about in this section.
Must have created God.
Oh, yes, the whole created God thing. So the point in bringing up the infinite regress that he was talking about is that that's kind of a really simple argument against, well, God created this world, because then it kind of puts the religious people in the position of having to make a special pleading argument. They have to specially plead that their God is uncreated, that he was never created, therefore he's outside of this reality, and everything in this reality has a beginning or a cause or something created it. And so that ultimate creator has to be God because he was never created, right? And for one thing, you can't prove that things need a creator in order to be like a sentient, conscious being to create or start the universe, right? You can't actually prove that with evidence. And that is where atheists have a problem. Now, that's not to say that this is a scientific answer against, or not answer, but rebuttal against him. This is just purely logic according to the evidence that he's presented. Because if he doesn't have the evidence to suggest that a God created everything, and the only explanation that he has is, well, shit's complex, therefore God had to create everything. Can you build a fucking leaf? I can't build a leaf. God created leaves. It's just a nonsensical argument, the teleological argument is. Because we know how like things evolved over time. We know that it's a natural process. All of our previous experiences point to the fact that natural processes, are the cause of everything that happens and exists in this reality. We got another super chat. I'm loving this super chat love. I get the sense that this guy is reiterating bad apologetics that he heard in actual professional apologetic videos. And he's doing it kind of poorly.
Yet to be unknown. You've only dipped a toe into that area so far. But the issue that I have with that argument is that you don't really need to have something that created God. God, he kind of solves that if you really think about it, or the universal consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, right? The higher world, the higher dimensions, the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, like that kind of solves that riddle there, because it is a complex system that we cannot understand, right? And so this system around us is complex enough, so we're trying to make sense of this, but yes, there is something greater that we cannot understand. We cannot see how, we cannot fathom how that has created this world. I don't subscribe to there needs to be a hierarchy of things. I think there can be one, one great power, if you will.
You literally just rattled off a personal incredulity. That doesn't solve anything. You're just ad hoc asserting that this supernatural overworld hyper reality exists, and you're saying that solves shit. And then you're saying, well, I don't understand how this made up thing that I just made up or that other people made up for me, I don't know how that works. So therefore it solves it internally. So I'm asking you now, how does that solve it? How does that mean that God is uncreated? I mean, I get that you don't know, and that's fine, but the point is that you have to come to you have to be able to explain how that actually solves the problem. And it really doesn't. Because one, you can't prove that this hyper overworld reality spiritual realm exists. Two, you can't even go from there to proving that God is uncreated. And then three, I don't even know what in the fuck you're talking about when you talk about the spiritual supernatural overworld land. Like, I have no idea what that could possibly be. It seems like you don't know what the fuck it is either, but you seem to just make it up on the spot. And it's really sad how you make shit up and then you're like, well, I don't know how that works. It just does.
But if you guys have any ways to compel me into that, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being illogical, although that's like a whole branch of study as well. Anyway, getting off track here. So now my point number 5 is, again, that it ignores the subjectivity of experience, right? And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about meaning as well. But humans' experiences really are subjective, right? This is actually very apparent if you look at situations where people are in a very violent circumstance, okay? Or a really horrifying circumstance. If they're in some kind of a shooting or some kind of a...
Before he gets into whatever kind of fucked up scenario that he's trying to get into here, if everybody has a subjective experience and like, we don't have God physically writing things in this universe. Like, God didn't write the Bible. God didn't write the Quran. People wrote the Quran. Like, a person did. So if everybody has their own subjective experience in this world, then wouldn't all of the religious writings that he's probably read, wouldn't those be written by these people who have had subjective experiences? So how could a subjective experience get you to absolute reality? Like, I would love to be explained to, like, I would love for somebody to explain to me why that means that what's in those books, in any religious books that he takes as 100% truth, why does he take those things as 100% true when it's obvious that it's just a subjective person's opinion?
A situation where their life is on the line. People see things differently in that circumstance, right? People will say that different amounts of shots were fired, or, something else happened, right? If you talk to the people at the Twin Towers, they all have different descriptions of what happened. And it's really universal across the board, right? When people are in that particular panicked state of mind, they perceive the world differently. And that kind of goes back to Einstein's theory of relativity, right? And that our understanding of space and time is relative to where we are in space and time, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. It is, but it's not like... it's not that reality morphs to our experiences. Our experiences might distort reality, but I mean, that's not even what special relativity or general relativity is even about. I mean, it's about the experience of time based on where you are, like, and how fast you're going. Like, that's what that's talking about. Like, I feel like this is a bit of an equivocation game here, because he's equivocating what special and general relativity talk about as far as perception of time and space, and he's trying to use it to suggest that, like, our individual experiences are somehow governed by the laws of general relativity, in that, like, what we perceive as being true, I guess, is subjective to where we are, how fast we're moving, and everything like that. Like, I mean, things happen in reality regardless of whether or not we experience it. I mean, I'm sure that two meteors just clashed together somewhere in the universe. And regardless of where I am or how fast I'm going, that still happened. Just like with the Twin Towers example that he had. Sure, people remember it differently. People had different experiences depending on where they are. But that still doesn't change the fact that that doesn't change the facts of what happened on that day. They still happened, regardless of how anybody experienced them. And because we're living in an age of video cameras and 24-hour news cycles, we have full coverage of everything that happened that day. Not absolutely everything, but as far as what he's talking about here in his example.
And this kind of goes even further back to videos I've posted years and years ago about the dimensionality of the world, and how as three-dimensional creatures we are perceiving the world. Right? We cannot fully perceive or fully see in 3 dimensions, but our understanding of the world is based on where we are in it, right? And that kind of also goes to the next level of it as well. Perhaps a 4th-dimensional creature would have a far better understanding of things. It could understand the laws and the rules of our world around us far better than we can, because we are immersed in a 3-dimensional world, right? So I guess those are just some.
I feel like he just rattled off a half-ass, like, life science article that he read about general relativity or special relativity. Either one, really. I feel like that is, like, his little speech right there about things is the product of half-ass reading some science articles.
The five main issues that I have with it, and I've been in some discussions with people, and I consider myself a pretty religious person. I'm a Christian. I believe that God created the world and Jesus came back to save me from my sins, but that doesn't mean that I think that anybody who doesn't believe in him is damned, right? I think that is quite a stigma of Christianity and of religion as a whole, and this kind of goes back to the religious negativity bias, is they assume that every religion basically says, if you don't believe what we believe, then you're damned to eternal hell, right? I kind of go more, I believe it's agnostic on that, which is I don't know, right? I don't know if, why would God have created the world and then, damned 3/4 of the population just because they didn't believe it, or even more, whatever.
That is a really good question there, Psychonaut, whatever the fuck your name is. That's a really, really good question. I'm glad that you're asking that question. And also, you're completely deviating from the Christian and the Jewish message. Because, yes, both Judaism, Christianity, Islam, plenty of other religions out there are mutually exclusive. You cannot get into their respective holy heaven places without completely believing in that particular religion. Like, I get that you're straying away from your religion, and I guess I commend you for that. But if you don't know where that comes from, then you obviously haven't read your holy scripture, because it's right in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. I mean, Jesus literally says that he is the way, the truth, and the light. Like, nobody can come to God but through me, or however he said it. So I mean, you seem to just not even know your own theology, and you seem to be making up your own Christian theology, which, to be honest, is what all denominations kind of do anyways, right? You're just kind of making up your own denomination, the denomination of Psychonaut. Everybody gets into heaven as long as you're a good motherfucker. Can you imagine it? You get up to heaven and it's goddamn Samuel L. Jackson. He looks down at you and he's like, motherfucker, were you good? Yeah, I guess that was good. Get the fuck in the gate. We got beer in there, motherfucker. That would be awesome.
Percentage of the population. But I kind of also go to a quote by, I believe, Dalai Lama on this, and I'm just going to paraphrase him. And he says that we need to stick to our own cultures, right? It's not so much about just abandoning all of your ideas and then going to one particular belief system. It's kind of about staying with the people that you've been raised with and staying with the culture that you've been raised with. It's not about just throwing everything out the door and just going to one particular set of ideas.
Well, again, you're kind of, I mean, what you basically just said there was that everybody has their own religion and everybody's religion is correct, and it doesn't matter what religion you hold, you get into heaven. So I'm really questioning it here. Like, why does he have a problem with atheism? Like, if he thinks that everybody gets into heaven anyways, regardless of whether or not you believe in God, and atheists are literally not telling people you have to leave your faith, considering religion to be horrible in general is not us trying to make people leave their faith, right? It just kind of seems like, well, what's the point in even having a religion in the first place? I mean, it seems like he's only read portions of his Bible that he wants to read or that people have taught him. And I would encourage him to read more, so that you can get a full picture of this God that you supposedly worship. But it just seems to me like you've got a lot of problems with science, not so much atheists.
But another thing too is that I don't find a whole lot of peace in the idea that there is just eternal black in death, right? If anything, psychedelic substances have shown me that. But it really makes them so upset. They get so upset when anybody says anything about there being a higher world, because people can't. The only reason they're mad about it is because it can't be proven with science and it can't be observed with our 5 physical senses.
Well, no. So that's not that's not why we have a problem with it. I mean, that you're leaving out a whole lot of nuance here, man, because the nuance here is that all religious people use heaven in different ways. There are some religious assholes out there that like to use heaven as the reason why they're yelling at you on the street. They don't want you to go to hell. They want you to go to heaven. So you need to repent, motherfucker, is basically their sentiment. And you have people just like yourself there, Psychonaut, who thinks that just everybody will go to heaven as long as you're a good person. You don't have to believe in my God to get into heaven. There are those people as well. So you boiling it down to atheists being mad about heaven because we can't prove it scientifically is just wrong. We're not mad about heaven. We're not mad about any of that. In fact, I would say probably most atheists don't know whether or not there is anything after this life, because most atheists are agnostic atheists. You even use that word agnostic, so I know that you know what that means. But you're leaving out a whole lot of ways that people use the heaven and hell thing in order to try to convince other people to join their faith. Atheists aren't trying to convince people to leave their faith, but people of faith regularly try to convince people of non-belief and of other beliefs to join their faith because they're going to burn in hell for eternity. It's love God or burn in hell for eternity. And so, you're just leaving out a whole lot of shit here.
But I mean, just look at...
Oh, also the whole blackness or whatever, like that really doesn't bother me. I think that I would eventually lose my mind if we lived on forever. Like just at some point, I feel like there's a breaking point for the human psyche, regardless of what situation you're in.
All the things that are happening that we can't even perceive of, right? Like we have all these different pieces of equipment that can detect the invisible wavelengths of light and the different colors of light that we can't actually see around in the world around us. And like the radio waves, right? And the fact that sounds are wavelengths, but we can't perceive that they are wavelengths. And so we have these systems that are set up, right? There's all these spectrums that are going on around us, right? I kind of go back to Alan Watts again there. The world is composed of a whole bunch of different spectrums, right? We have 5 senses to detect what we have around us, but that does not mean that we can detect all of it, right? From the gamma rays to the sun, to even the quantum world, right? There is far so much happening around us that we do not have a immediate perception of. We just have tools that could be very flawed in nature that are kind of making sense of the world around us.
Well, you see, that's where the benefit of science comes in, because science tries to remove any potential like contamination or anything like that. So, I mean, we can detect gamma rays, we can detect quarks. I mean, we know that quarks exist. And it's because it's been shown in the science lab, and we may come to understand these things in even more in depth, but we can detect them, and we can reliably detect them. We know that these things do exist and do happen. We know that X-rays exist. We know the different wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum and what they do and its effects on things. And I mean, well, one good example is actually the what was it? Was it the Michelson-Morley experiment? Let me look that up because I don't want to fuck shit up. Michelson-Morley. Yes, the Michelson-Morley experiment. Basically, with that one, they were trying to detect whether the ether existed. This would be an example of one of these things that we can't immediately perceive, but we should be able to detect if it actually exists. And so the thing is that with the Michelson-Morley experiment, it boiled down to we could detect the rotation of the Earth, but we couldn't detect a wind, like an ether wind, or us moving through what seems to be invisible, plane, I guess. So we weren't able to detect that. So it kind of seems like there are things that different tests that we can use in order to detect these things in reality. That's why we haven't been able to detect the supernatural. We haven't been able to detect this higher plane of existence. Now, does that mean that those things definitely don't exist? No. I've never asserted that those things definitely don't exist. I have only asserted that we don't have the evidence to suggest that they do. And until you can provide that evidence, I'm going to withhold believing in it because you just haven't convinced me. So, and that's all it takes is evidence. That's all you need is evidence to convince me.
And so to say that there isn't something greater, there isn't some kind of something that is outside of this reality, is almost to ignore the fact that we know so little about the world around us, and that we have so little of a perception of what is happening. We are very, very limited, right? So yeah, that is all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I would encourage you all to go ahead and get...
Yeah, that's it for his video. So basically, all of his 5 points seem to be, well, except for one of them. I believe one of them was that atheists or atheism is anti-religious, which it's not that. So all 5 of these points are either grievances with science or not atheism. Those are the 2 things that his 5 points boil down to. So if you're hoping to convince people that atheism has fundamental problems, maybe you should revisit this and actually pick 5 things that are directly related to atheism. And not tangentially concerned with atheism, or that atheism is tangentially concerned with. Like, it would just be great if somebody could actually present like an accurate view of what atheism is and then establish what their problems are. That would be great. If you're a religious person watching and you've got the wherewithal to make a video and put it out there and send it to me, I will review that sumbitch. And I won't be mean. Like, I could have went with calling this guy Ace Ventura, but I didn't. Like, you know, Ace Ventura 2 when he's like in the jungle and shit. He just needs a monkey. How much you want to bet he's got a monkey in that house? Monkeys are cool. I'm not dissing a monkey. I'm just saying, like, that would be totally cool if he had a monkey in that house. How cool would it be if we finished off this video and a monkey just ropes in from the back of his house and it's like, ah, get off the fucking camera, motherfucker! Ah, feed me. And he throws his shit at the camera. Anyways. Oh man. Anyways, I hope that you guys loved this video tonight. If you did, be sure to subscribe and smash that like button. We do this every Friday night. I think I'm going to try to start doing it possibly 7:30. Every other week or so. I'll let you know. It'll be scheduled and everything like that. So I guess I'll be talking to you guys later. We're about to go into the Skeptic Mafia comments though, so if you want to stick around for that, please do. But if you're going to be leaving out, then I guess I'll see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we're going into the Skeptic Mafia comments. And if you guys don't know, the Skeptic Mafia, let's see. There we go. If you guys don't know, the Skeptic Mafia is the memberships here. If you want to join, you get a podcast every Tuesday where we talk about current events. You also have a Discord, private Discord message board. No, channel? Server? No, the whole server is not private. Anyways, you get a private Discord thingy. You also get a bunch of other stuff. We do monthly hangouts. So if you guys want to jump in on the Skeptic Mafia for as little as $1.99, you can get all the lovely emojis in the side chat. And then for the $4.99, you can get pretty much anything else. I know that there's been a few that have upgraded their memberships to the higher levels, and I'll be getting back to them here shortly about when we can schedule up some private conversations. But every Friday, I put up the poll to choose the Friday video, and then I put up the video that we're going to cover so that you guys can comment on it, and then I read your comments live on air. So we're going to start off tonight with Sean J. He says, he was so close at the beginning there. Atheists are not making a claim. Theists make a claim, and atheists merely ask the theist to prove their claim with evidence. The atheist then evaluates the theist's evidence and determines the validity of that evidence against the claim. He is just one who has been told what an atheist is and not ever talked to one. Also, his little smirk at 10 minutes when he is stating he believes in Jesus is telling, in my opinion. I agree. I don't understand how he comes to his theology, but I don't know. Maybe subscribe to his channel and see if he ever explains that shit. Big Sky Pioneer 2 says, yawn. Yet another Christian exhibiting his willful ignorance about who atheists are or what atheists believe or don't believe. I say willful ignorance because he could have actually done some research before recording his video. He had the opportunity. I never cease to be amazed by the volume of Christians that still can't recognize that atheists also don't believe in Zeus, Isis, the god of Muhammad, the pantheon of Hindu gods, or the divinity of Buddha. Somehow it is always taken for granted. We just don't believe in their particular flavor of religion. Honestly, I couldn't make it through the predictable ramble, so I will be tuning in to watch along with the rest of the Skeptic Mafia to learn what his list of 5 actually is. Well, Big Sky, I hope you enjoyed it. They were all pretty horrible. Next is Chrismer. Didn't get the chance to catch this one, but I can at least comment and see your take on it tonight. Spectrum's been at the house trying to figure out a problem with my internet all damn day. Anyway, ASCII! Thanks for the ASCII. Because let's face it, whoever is presenting this is an NPC. But if you don't want to be an NPC, give this video a like, go ahead and leave a comment, and most definitely subscribe, god damn it! Oh, and join the Skeptic Mafia where you can get GE to say crazy things like, oh, I don't know, has anyone really ever been far even as decided to use even go want to do look more like? Oh, and can I get a fuck Trump from GE and the chat? All together now. Fuck Trump! Vanta Blue, he touched upon what religion is to many. A way to handle the possibility of death being the end with nothing after it. That there is someone out there watching out for us in life and after. That we're not alone. A scary thought. So have an imaginary friend to hold your hand. Obviously, that's the way to go. Thank you, Vanta, for your comment. Drew's Book Reviews. Atheists do not speak to disprove God or any other religion. Every atheist I have listened to has consistently said we need evidence for God, not here as proof of the non-existence of God. Maybe my echo chamber is just too small. This is all I have ever heard. 2, I do agree many atheists state science is the only way to understand the world. While science is the most effective way, it is not the only way. I agree. 3, yes, science is flawed. It's never been perfect, but it's far better than any God hypothesis. I will take a theory over a hypothesis any day. Well, good, because scientific theories are not hypothesis, which is just a general guess is a good way to translate that. 4, yes, many atheists do have a religious bias. I know I certainly do, no argument there, but does that mean 100% of atheists have this bias? No, you're right. It doesn't mean that everybody does. I know that I'm biased against bad arguments. I'd be hard pressed to say that I'm biased against like any one religion particularly. I'm biased against all religion, I guess. 5, complexity argument. I think he's confusing an atheistic argument with an atheist position. Well, yeah, maybe. I guess he could have been. I mean, that's kind of what I pointed out, how what he actually pointed out there was an atheist response to saying that, well, God created the universe and everything in the universe needs to be created, so therefore God is the one that created it. He just regurgitated an atheist response to that. I certainly agree that some atheists have bad arguments. Sam Harris in his book, The End of Faith, is a good example of this. While I know some may disagree, I did not like it as it seemed more of an anti-Islam diatribe than an argument against faith in God. Very much a book arguing against one religion and not God in general. Despite its title positioning it as an argument against faith God, check out my channel for a more detailed review. Ooh, hey, I'll have to see if I can find that and put that in the description. Anyway, till next time, keep on reading. If you guys don't know, Drew's Book Reviews does a lot of great book reviews over on his channel. Definitely go and check that out. Alex said, that pussy licking in the background is quite distracting. Seriously, though, cute cat. Good one, Alex. He seems to misunderstand atheism. It has nothing to do with science, the universe's origins, or our feelings. It simply says no to the question, do you believe in God? Atheists may hold to scientific principles and such, but it is not because they are an atheist. I saw on his channel that he has a follow-up videos about what he said in this video, but I was too busy feeding insects to go look at them. We'll check that out later. If you're not too busy, join the Skeptic Mafia. For $5 a month, you can get early access to content and exclusive podcasts, plus you can make GE say whatever you want, such as, the idea that dogs or cats are better is ridiculous. There are really nice cats and really nice dogs, as well as really bad cats and really bad dogs. It is impossible to be both a dog person and a cat person at the same time. Wash your damn hands. Everybody needs to wash your damn hands and wear them masks. All right, I know I've thrown out a comment before that your old man must have jerked off in a flower pot because he raised a bloomin' idiot. But I never expected to run across such a perfect living proof of that statement. Ding! My guess is sitting in a big red clay pot with Daddy's Boy scrawled on it. There is just too much wrong with what he said that I had to double up on my migraine meds to get my vision back. I did agree with the fact that he is a psychonaut. He takes a real deep dive into the psycho realm. Nicely done, GE. Your sadism is shaping up quite well. Soon I expect you will be sending all your loyal heathens a box of angry Alabama bees or a rabid rebel weasel to rip our flesh. Looking forward to it. Love you. Well, KC at least. Kidding. Both of you. Thank you, Michael. Quentin Van Boeven. I couldn't make it too far in, but it seems like he is just ignorant of what atheism is and what scientific theory is. Anyway, in an effort to keep this short, we'll skip the Mafia shilling. I'm sure someone else will cover it, but y'all need to hit them like, share, and subscribe buttons. It pleases our AI overlord. Hope I can manage to catch some of this live. I've got to work tonight, so not sure if I'll make it. Well, Quentin, you're here in spirit, if not literally in the chat. Trickster. First off, I am not hoping to put this guy down. He stated his case with a calm demeanor and did not resort to name-calling. I respect that. That being said, I do have a few disagreements with what he said. 1, he should use the true definition of atheist. 2, most atheists have absolutely no desire to turn anyone away from their beliefs. 3, if you want to use scientific theory as an argument, you should first understand what scientific theory actually means. 4, atheists usually do not bring up Christian atrocities unless someone tries to bring up atheist atrocities. Well, generally, when I start bringing up like Christian atrocities and everything like that, it's usually in response to somebody talking about the moral aspect of being an atheist or how atheists don't have morals or something like that. Usually there's a specific argument that I'm addressing whenever that gets brought up. 5, those of faith can bring up assumptions and conjecture, but cannot provide the most important thing, evidence of their claim. I agree there, Trickster. Hit that like button, share this with someone who may find this interesting, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hey, want to be able to see these vids early and comment on the content and have GE read that comment on air? If you can afford to drop about $5 a month, you can have these perks. You also get a podcast every Tuesday and monthly hangouts, and you get some of the best emojis on the internet. In case you didn't know, that's why they got the whale penis one down there. Jewcane, 726. Yep, just your standard I don't know what atheism is spiel. Most of the points are repetitive, and being against religion as a whole is a separate stance. Can we have the smoke weed every day meme? Because that's what this guy is. Let me see. I know I've got that somewhere. Nope, that was the wrong thing. Hold on. Let's see. Extras.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
Crap. Hold on.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
There you go. I like how everybody loves that one. Uhan Roderick, and he opens with a straw man. I'm shocked! Sarcasm. Why the plants? Let's just summarize my response like this. Atheism doesn't make a claim, it just rejects one. Good. Subscribe! Thumbs up! Thumbs that mother up! Join the Skeptic Mafia! Get to type in all caps like this for G to read off during a live stream! Peace, love, and wash your damn hands! That's the second time y'all been told to wash your damn hands. Y'all best be washing your damn hands. Michelle Foster. Zoned out pretty fast. This kid is kind of boring, and I'm about to watch him again. Ha!
John, the comments are not visible.
Oh, crap. So sorry about that. So there was Uhan's comment, and now we're reading Michelle's. As far as the bit I did catch, science is full of theories. Well, yes, but scientific theories are not the same thing as colloquial. I have a hard time actually saying that word, theories. In my layman understanding, scientific theories are tested over and over, getting the same results. Yeah, and they're based on a mountain of facts, and because they're testable and repeatable, that's the reason why they're considered scientific theories. Yeah, you're right. I can't really remember his other points he made without having to rewatch it, and I'm too sleepy to do that right now. I might end up falling asleep if I do. But you know who aren't boring? GE and Casey. I highly recommend tippity-tapping that subscribe button and ring-a-linging that bell so that you'll be notified about when videos are posted. You know what else I highly recommend? Joining the Skeptic Mafia. You get the weekly Mafia podcast, fun emojis. We do hangouts. You can leave comments for GE to read out loud, and whale dick emojis. P.S. You can leave silly comments for GE to say on air. Mater to a foots cricketer et pater to a redolut baccarum sambucus.
Did she just cast a spell on us?
Yes, honey, she did cast a spell on us. Well, what's the song from Hocus Pocus? I put a spell on you, and now you're mine. Apparently, we belong to Michelle now. Casey's like, I don't mind. Daniel M. First off, GE, I think this guy would make a decent interview with you. He seems open to conversation and trying to understand. I don't think the title is apt. I feel like it should be 5 things I don't understand about atheism or 5 questions for atheists. However, the latter has been done to dirt, so he should just stick to the former. I'm going to point out the positives first. He doesn't say that people who do not believe in God, who do not believe are fools or are stupid. When he asked his question, I got the feeling that he was sincere in wondering. Do you agree? I think that he is sincere in his video. Whether or not he actually wants to know things about atheism or the broader scope of the conversation, I'm not really sure. I didn't get a feeling of him proselytizing either and found myself wanting to know more of his position. I was real intrigued when he brought up the psychedelics and things of that nature. I would like for him to expand and tell me why he feels that way or show proofs. Some of the things he could do better is to try to not generalize all atheists. It seems he is trying to reach Gnostic atheists. If you were to ask me before I found your channel, I would have said there is no God at all. After learning the different terms and reference frames, I learned that I can't really say that if I'm being honest. I do not believe there is a God, nor have I been given sufficient proof. I'm not angry about that, nor do I get angry at people who want to believe in creationism. It angers me when it is forced on others through government or threats. I feel like he would do well to not misinterpret people's anger. All in all, good vid to review. Hopefully we can see a conversation come from this. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Michelle put in the live chat what that meant.
Oh.
She typed it.
Let's see. Apparently it means your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. What is that from? That's from a movie. Huh? Is that Princess Bride? I can't remember. Anyways, we got Jonathan Nickel here. Huh? Oh, the Holy Grail. That was the next thing I was thinking about. But I know you hate that movie.
Why did you have to say that? Not everybody's gonna be shitty.
It's okay not to like a movie, honey. Jonathan Nickel. I'll try to keep my comment a little more brief this week. I know it is tempting to run away with the keyboard, but I'll try to rein it in this time. I hope this time I won't get cut short. I understand if I am, though. I appreciate you trying to keep it short there, Jonathan. I see he keeps his comment section open and invites response. That is refreshing, but there were a number of people trying to tell him why he's wrong. I see in his comments that Kate Bionic Dance has also taken a whack at this guy. Question 1 is malformed. Other religions wrong. Atheism is not a religion, nor is it trying to prove itself. Atheism is merely a response to religious claims. He is off to a bad start. He is also trying to equate atheism with science. I was sure when I saw the title of this video that we would get another theistic misrepresentation of atheism. I was right. He says he doesn't want to turn from what he has been raised with simply because it hasn't been proven. This shows he's not concerned about the truth. Yeah, astute observation there, Jonathan. 2, he doesn't understand theories and seems to think they are a problem for science. He's right that theories aren't proven conclusively, but that is not how science works. Theories can only be disproven. If you assert something as absolute truth, you close your mind to it, and a closed mind doesn't go anywhere. Theories evolve as our understanding improves. 3, the only negativity bias is that we shouldn't accept claims that have not met their burden of proof. Many atheists would accept a God if one could be shown to exist. Whether or not they would bend their knee is a separate question. Good point. That is a very different question. 4, complexity theory is not even a thing. It is just a repackaged God of the gaps argument from ignorance. What he fails to grasp is that simplicity, not complexity, is the hallmark of design. He even tries to solve the infinite regress he described with "we can't understand" by saying we don't understand, so don't bother trying. He has undermined the entire education system. There was a time when we didn't understand fire or farming. We should go back to being hunter-gatherers living in caves. Should we go back to being hunter-gatherers living in caves? 5, subjectivity of experience. It is true all perceive this world differently, which is why the scientific method attempts to eliminate personal bias as much as possible. The peer review process enables scientists to test the experiments that others have performed and confirm or overturn their findings. This guy has already shown a contempt for science, though, so I doubt he would understand that. I'll leave it there. I tried to keep it brief, but I still wrote a bit more than I intended. I hope it wasn't too much this time. Urban Imposter. I'm sorry, was he saying something? I was distracted by the cat in the background. What an odd set to produce a video. Anyway, insert generic shilling here. Did you guys know that we have monthly hangouts? We do that shit. We also have a special podcast that you can listen to. You can spend an hour in the morning listening to KC and I talk about current events. Mostly about how Donald Trump needs to go and fuck himself. Not really mostly. It's mostly just idiots can go fuck themselves. Gary White. Sounds real interesting. Let's see what he's got to say. I'm not going to leave a long message, so I'm going to send it to GE to shill out for me. Okay. Yes, again, join the Skeptic Mafia. We got a lot of great shit. And I'm going to double check to make sure I didn't miss any comments. Sorry, I don't know if I got your edited version there, Daniel. But anyways. All right. Awesome. Look at that. We're done by 9. All right, so I got just a minute or two to answer some questions. If you guys got any questions in the side chat there, I really do appreciate everybody joining us tonight, which let me go ahead and switch back to the main cam. So Daniel M sent another super chat saying, remember, I did not pay too much attention. Hey, I thought your comment was good there, Daniel. I really appreciated your insight on it. I get pissy about those people. Yes, you do, honey. Fuck Trump. And then a whole bunch of fuck you symbols. So Monday, right now I have a script prepared. That's another Matt Powell thing. He does, like, this should have made it into my top 15 list from that thing, but I was really just listing off all the lies. And apparently right before I cut off the cap, put the cap at 15, like he went and lied again, like severely. And so we're going to be covering that on Monday. And then I think Wednesday will be the practical atheism. This preacher gets on video and he tries to tell people that they're practically atheists when they're probably not. Let's see. Jane Pusecker says, do you think the afterlife could be detected the same way NASA tries to pick up alien life waves? Well, no. Because for one thing, the alien life electromagnetic waves that we're trying to detect with the SETI org or whatever, those are like actual things that exist in reality. We haven't actually been able to detect like the supernatural or anything like that. Anything outside of this reality, like we haven't really been able to detect. Everything that we know of exists within this reality. There's hypotheses about, you know, other realities existing, other universes existing, stuff of that nature. So I think it's possible. I don't think that we'll be able to detect it with any like actual equipment or any kind of method or anything like that. Well, apparently Warstar doesn't like politics. Just fuck it. Big Sky Pioneer says Alabama is the easternmost central time zone state.
Yeah, somebody said they thought we were in Eastern time.
Oh, no. Alabama is right on the edge, which I know Tennessee is actually kind of bisected, right?
Yeah, they're split. But Alabama's not. All of Alabama's central.
Yeah. Drew said, I tweeted you the link to my review on End of Faith if you didn't see it in the live chat. Okay, awesome. I got that there. Whenever I update, I'll definitely put it in the description there for people that want to go and check out the End of Faith and see what that's about. Yep, Big Sky says that Tennessee is half and half. Oh, no, Gary, I read your comment. So apparently, crap. Tony Design says, sorry I was late. Didn't know you were streaming and I was cutting 2 pounds of hair off my head. I know what that's like. I mean, when I cut my hair, whenever it gets long, I mean, I'm amazed at how much hair actually comes off of my skull. Michelle Foster, always look to the bright side of life. Do-do, 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 do-do. That's Life of Brian. Let's see. I know Chrismer. No, Cadence said SETI is right, and it's detecting the electromagnetic spectrum of the after effects of life, like radio or artificial light. Yep, that's what they're doing. Life of Brian is awesome too. Yep, stuck in my head for days now. And now everybody else has it stuck in their heads. My son is 3. He hears shit from me all the time. 3 is a cute age. A lot of times it's the kind of the temper tantrum age, though. It's been a while since he's had a temper tantrum. Drew's book reviews. You just need to go 100% bald, Godless Engineer. At least in my experience, women love a bald head. Honey?
No.
No bald head?
No.
Completely hairless?
No.
Sorry, Drew. He has not had that, thankfully. Good. What up there, Gina? How you doing? Jonathan Nickel, nobody is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle, even if they say Jehovah. Cadence has gone 9 years with that haircut. That's pretty good. Year and a half for KC. Vindictus the Bat said, what did I walk in on? Just, good old fun. Hanging out after the stream. Maljan Raja says that they went 2 months without a haircut and then they cut it themselves. That's good. Paul? Apologia missed the problems. Yeah, you did. Sorry about that, Paul. They weren't really problems with atheism. It was mischaracterization of atheism, and then like 3 or 4 things where he was just mad at science, and he equated science with atheism. But hey, man, I really appreciate you being here. I've really enjoyed the past couple of videos that you've put out, because I watched the you did a Ken Ham one recently where it was the C team that he was going through. The C team was going through something, and I can't remember what it was about now. It was that important. I'm sorry, it was important. But like I said, I even watched your whole Apologia has a really great video where he goes through Sean McDowell's he went around to all of the apologist channels here on YouTube, it seems, and he said some courteous things, and then there were other things that he kind of wasn't all that great about. Nazareth inscription, fuck yes, Nazareth inscription. That's right, Apologia. That's right, because the guy on the C team, he was thinking that the Nazareth inscription proves that Jesus resurrected from the dead, or that at least the body was missing, but that's not at all what it actually proves. So I thought that was a really good video. You laid it out really well. But anyways, I gotta go, heathens. Y'all have an awesome night. Wash your damn hands, wear your damn masks, and I guess I will see you guys on Monday when we talk about what squids and cephalopods in general and monkeys rafting across the ocean have to do with Matt Powell and his dumb shit. So I'll see you guys then. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.